It was our anniversary, the kind of day that usually feels light, celebratory, and wrapped in the warmth of shared memories. I had planned everything meticulously. The table by the edge of the rooftop overlooking the city, fairy lights twinkling like distant stars, our favorite jazz band playing softly in the background. I wanted tonight to feel like a memory we'd both hold forever. My wife, Sophie, arrived looking radiant, her dress a deep sapphire that seemed to shimmer with the city lights, and I felt that familiar warmth, that spark of connection, flicker to life inside me. We exchanged smiles, a clink of wine glasses, the usual laughter over old inside jokes, but something in the way she carried herself tonight seemed off. Too light, too calculated, a shadow of nervousness hidden behind her practiced charm. As we settled into our seats, I noticed it, a small notification lighting up her phone. An unfamiliar name, urgent, intimate, words appearing so fleetingly I had to glance twice to believe it. Sophie's thumb hovered over the screen for a split second before she locked it, laughing at something the waiter said as if nothing had happened. My stomach twisted, not with hunger, but with an unfamiliar, sinking dread. The man from the notification. Well, I didn't know him yet, emerged from the shadows, stepping onto the rooftop with a casual confidence that made my chest tighten. He approached Sophie with an intimacy reserved for lovers, a familiarity that she didn't bother to hide. She smiled, leaned slightly into him, her laughter now sounding different, lighter, careless, as if the world outside this rooftop no longer existed. I didn't move. I didn't speak. The waiter brought our meals, the clinking of silverware echoing in the silence I created, a silence that hung heavier than any confrontation. Every second felt elongated, each tick of the clock punctuated by Sophie's laughter and the low murmur of the man beside her. My mind raced, not with anger yet, but with a cold, simmering observation. I watched her gestures, the subtle tilt of her head, the warmth in her eyes reserved for him, and the hollow performance she put on for me. I let the moment stretch, savoring the internal storm I held back, letting her feel the weight of being caught without a single word spoken. The man touched her hand briefly, leaning close enough that I could see her pupils dilate, a micro-expression of something forbidden flashing across her face. I realized then that all those small absences, the missed calls, the mysterious late nights, they had all led to this moment. And yet, I stayed still, my fingers wrapped tightly around the glass, not letting a tremor betray the hurricane inside me. Sophie glanced at me once, a brief flicker of guilt in her eyes that vanished as quickly as it appeared. She smiled again, a practiced mask, and I knew she had counted on my ignorance, on my willingness to accept the illusion of trust. The city below sparkled, oblivious to the betrayal unfolding above it. I could hear snippets of their conversation, fragments too revealing to ignore. The man's voice was low, intimate, teasing her in a way that sent a jolt of anger and heartbreak through me simultaneously. I felt my chest tighten, my heart pounding, yet my body refused to move. The suspense, the unbearable tension of knowing and watching without intervention, became a tangible force, pressing down on the three of us. Sophie laughed at something he said, leaning so close that her shoulder brushed his, a touch that felt like fire against the ice I had built around my emotions. I imagined the confrontation that would have erupted if I had spoken, angry words, tears, perhaps even a scene that would ruin everything around us. But I didn't want drama tonight. I wanted her to feel the consequences of every lie, every deceit, without the relief of a confrontation to hide behind. And so I remained silent, letting every second of suspense hang, each heartbeat a hammer in my chest, each glance a silent accusation. Suddenly, the man kissed her cheek, a soft, intimate gesture that would have gone unnoticed in another context, but under the piercing clarity of my awareness, it shattered something inside me. Sophie's smile faltered for the briefest of moments, a crack in her facade, and my stomach sank deeper. The band's music swelled, a romantic tune that now felt like mockery, a cruel soundtrack to the betrayal I witnessed. I sipped my wine slowly, tasting bitterness that had nothing to do with the drink, and in that sip, I felt the first wave of icy clarity. This was the truth of us, of her. And I needed no words, no confession, no apology. The weight of her own actions was enough. Minutes passed, or perhaps hours, in the distorted timeline of agony. The man finally left, disappearing into the night as easily as he had arrived, leaving behind only the faint scent of cologne and the echo of Sophie's laughter. She turned to me, expecting perhaps relief, a smile, or some sign of approval, but I gave her none. My eyes, steady and cold, met hers, and for the first time, I let her see the reflection of betrayal staring back at her. She faltered, that practiced charm slipping just enough for me to recognize the fear, the panic, the realization that I knew. I did not speak. I did not accuse. I did not cry. I simply held her gaze, letting the silence scream louder than any words could. Finally, I rose, leaving the chair scraped back against the floor, the sound sharp in the quiet aftermath. I stepped toward the edge of the rooftop, letting the city lights wash over me, the wind tangling her hair as she whispered my name, a desperate plea I did not answer. My heart ached, not only from the betrayal but from the love I had given freely, only to be mocked in the shadows of a lie. Sophie reached for me, trembling, her hands hovering between us, hoping for reconciliation, for explanation, for some human response to salvage the night. But I stepped back, just enough, and let the tension snap like a wire stretched too far. "Happy anniversary," I said finally, my voice quiet, calm, devastating in its restraint. I turned and walked away, leaving behind the wine, the music, the city skyline, and the woman I had once believed in completely. Sophie called after me, her voice a mixture of panic and regret, but I did not turn. I did not look back. The night swallowed me into its shadows as I walked down the steps, the air heavy with heartbreak, the city lights glinting in my tearless eyes. I didn't know where I would go, what I would do next, but I knew one thing with perfect certainty. The illusion was gone, the betrayal laid bare, and the suspense, the silent torment of witnessing the truth, had served its purpose fully. By the time I reached the street below, the music faded into the distance, replaced by the soft hum of city life oblivious to the devastation above. I felt the first surge of freedom mingled with pain, a bitter cocktail I would carry forever. Sophie remained on the rooftop, frozen, a solitary figure bathed in fairy lights and city glow, realizing too late that her actions had consequences beyond any apology, any attempt at charm, any whispered plea. And as I disappeared into the night, my heart broke, but in its breaking, it also hardened, leaving no space for her lies to wound me further. I walked alone, but I walked free.